Hello, and welcome to the Drywall podcast. I'm your host, Nick Harmon. With us today, Josh Martin out of Alabama with Martin's Construction, Drywall, and Painting. Super great guy. Josh is an ambassador for Tape Tech Tools. He's third generation drywaller, and man, we go all over the board. We talk about wood paneling, we talk about trim techs, we talk about the industry, all kinds of cool stuff.
So we do a lot of painting too when we ain't busy doing drywall, and we found that a lot of the cleaning products that people use will get on there, stick to the surface, and cause the product not to adhere to the paneling itself. So we would go in with like
interesting, because they're using aggressive cleaners on the wood paneling or stains.
Right.
That's
and a lot of times varnish, the older varnish, it won't bond to it. So you'll go in with like an oil-based primer. Usually we use like I don't know if it's okay to drop names of different products on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oil kills. So we use like the odorless oil kills, but it needs to be oil-based. We've had issues with the latex not bonding in the past. So.
I was impressed with Josh's depth of knowledge about the industry and going over different substrates. The Drywall podcast is brought to you by Fresco Harmony, making walls better since 2004. If you'd like information about Fresco Harmony, you can contact us at info@frescoharmony.com. But for now, Josh Martin, episode 18 on the Drywall podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome to my world. We've got Josh Martin. What is your company name?
Martin's Construction, Drywall, and Painting, LLC. It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful.
We're from Alabama, South Alabama. I'm allergic to the cold.
Yeah, I'll bet. It's probably warm over there still right now, huh?
It was. This morning it was 59. I had to put a long sleeve shirt on. Well, down here we don't really get a 4 seasons. We get it's summertime or it's wintertime. We're right here on the Gulf, and you don't really get a whole lot of change. It's either hot or cold.
Nice. And now your company, how many people do you have working with you?
I have one full-time employee, and then I got another guy that, he works part-time when he stays out of trouble, I guess. He's a good guy. He just can't stay out of trouble. Yeah.
There's probably a few of those in the drywall trade, myself included.
Well, those are the best ones. Those guys will show up and kill it,
Yeah. So you got a couple of dudes and yourself, and that's it?
That's it.
Three guys. And do you do one job at a time, or do you jump around?
I try to carry at least 2 jobs. That way, if the mud's wet or some issue, I can, switch over to another job and keep things going.
There you go. That's smart.
I learned in the past, if you overload yourself, it's headaches, so I try not to get over 1 or 2 jobs going.
Smart. How long have you been in business?
Well, I'm third generation, so I kind of took it from my father.
Yep.
So I've been finishing since I was 16. I made a bad decision, dropped out of school. My dad come and he was like, "Hey, come work for me for a week." And I worked with him for a week and come home with a pocket full of money. I said, "The heck with high school."
Yeah.
And
why do you say that's a bad decision?
Well, I guess that I could have went on to school and got a job in the air conditioning, but as far as the money wise, you can't beat what we make out here. I'm not getting rich, but I make a good living in the construction industry,
Yeah. So maybe it wasn't a bad decision.
I might have to take that back. It wasn't a bad decision, but.
Do you have your GED?
I did. I went back and got my GED later on. Took a few courses, and I stayed so busy with construction. I mean, I just poured everything into this and run with it.
Yeah. Do you have kids, Josh?
Oh my goodness. I have three kids, and then my wife, she has three kids. So we have six together, five still in the house, and we got finally got one out of the house, so to speak.
The Brady Bunch.
Oh my goodness. It's a handful.
That's a lot. What are the ages of the kids?
So we start at 2 and we go up to 13. Like dominoes.
How many boys? How many girls?
All girls, one boy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, the dog, he was a male, but he passed away a few years ago. So me and the boy now.
You got to get another male dog. There's too much estrogen in that house, man.
It is. Movie night, me and him, we just suffer through movie night.
Right. It's just rom-coms and the Kardashians or something like that.
It's a mixture of things. The younger ones with the girl cartoons and all, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, you got dolls and pink and frill all over that house, I bet.
It is, and it's like a rainbow all the time. I mean, we got different color rooms. It's just a mess.
Nice. And so to give our listeners a little background, I was sort of intrigued by Josh because you reached out and you messaged me and you were very appreciative for the podcast. So you've listened to, and you said you've listened to all the podcasts and more than once?
I have. I've listened to all of them and then a couple of times. And I mean, it's just something that drywall finishers can relate to. I mean, where I'm at, there's not a whole lot of drywall finishers, and to be able to connect with, on that level and understand what other people are going through, similar to what you're going through, it's something else. My daddy, he's 72. He's been doing it his whole life. He's never listened to a podcast before, but now he's listening. So, I mean, it's definitely interesting.
That's crazy. Did you listen to the Buck Buchanan podcast?
I did. I said I did. I believe I listened to it twice, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the author.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I found that very interesting, his sort of background. And that book is pretty cool. I mean, it's about stucco, but it's amazing how the stucco industry relates to drywall and plaster. It's very cool.
Well, my grandfather, I haven't jumped back. I haven't had the opportunity to read the book yet, but it relates to us. We started out with stucco, and then, over time drywall come in and we transitioned over to that. And my dad, he really didn't like stucco. To him, it was a lot more work than drywall. And I mean, we started off with hawk and trowel. My daddy, he still tells me stories about the first time he brought a pan and a knife in, and my granddad, he looked at it, and he turned around, he threw it out the window as far as he could. And I asked my dad, I said, "You gonna go out there and get that?" And he said, "No, I didn't go out there and get that. I knew better." So, I mean, it's a lifelong thing, as we've seen it through.
That's a testament to the resistance to change in the industry, that resistance to the pan and knife is very interesting. There's some old school guys. I do both. I can do both. If I'm finishing drywall, I use a pan and knife, but if I'm doing the fresco harmony stuff, I use a hawk and trowel.
I messed around with it. I brought the hawk and trowel out and tried the fresco harmony, just trying to get something together where I can make some samples, And it brings back good old days. It's been a while. We've been on the pan and knife so long that it's nice to pick up the hawk and trowel.
It is. And that's cool that you have a little bit of background with a hawk and trowel, because ultimately, I think it's faster. I mean, if you're spreading or skimming walls, I think the hawk and trowel is really efficient.
I think so too. I mean, it, it's a better coverage for me. I mean, I can work better with it. It's just every finisher's different. They use a pan and knife or hawk and trowel differently. But to me, the hawk is I'm I'm quicker with it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Sure. And do you use the tools? There's the big tool debate, like the box tool, the bazooka.
Um, I I do. I'm completely tape tech. Every tool they make, I just about have all of the tape tech products. Um, uh, for the last few years, that's about all we've run. We do a lot of residential, but a lot of it in the last few years is hit it and get it and go. And those tools really get the job done.
Yeah.
Here recently, we've really been getting into some $1 million homes where they want the finish perfect. So, I mean, break out the pan and knife, do a good finish. So a lot of it requires hand finishing that will take it
Yeah.
to that next level.
Do you run the skimming blades when you have to finish it out super tight and clean?
I do. We just skimmed some walls on some paneling that we, broke those knives out and used them. I like them myself. It's a situation where they're called for, and then you don't always have to have them, but it's nice to break them out and use them when you got them.
Yeah,
So
Dave Clark up in I went and visited him in Napa Valley. They did a $25 million home in Napa Valley, just insane. And they did the whole thing in fresco harmony. So I was like, I got to go up there and check that out and see what he's up to.
right.
And I just wanted to see the house anyways, but he was using the skimming blade. He was doing a patch and I was just sort of shadowing him for a day. And he was using the skimming blade and I was just blown away by, how you can pull out a big patch and not even have to leave a lap line. I just thought that was super cool. That I never really used the skimming blades because they kind of came after. I haven't finished like drywall finished for. I moved to Albuquerque 17 years ago and I've just done fresco harmony ever since. Like
Well,
I
I
only
mean,
do color.
you're putting your heart into it. So
Yeah.
I can understand that. The skimming blades for us, like on a level 5, I mean, that's where your money's at. Just it saves you time on it. I really like them myself. I mean, different guys, different tools.
Tell me about this, and we'll go back in time here in a bit, but tell me about the wood paneling cover you just did. Now, I thought I was the only one that did wood paneling covers with joint compound, and I've caught some flack from drywallers like that's going to fall off, that doesn't work. And I have had issues. Don't get me wrong. I've done it a lot, like maybe 15 times. And I've had a couple of jobs where that mud wants to delam off of the surface, largely due to the finish that's on the surface, that old 70s, like they have oil-based stains or something like that. The one situation, it peeled off the wall. We taped all the seams, bedded them, then did fresco harmony, and the whole entire thing came back down. They got big cracks, and I was like, damn it. And so I went back, we scraped all of the mud off of the surfaces. I redid the whole thing. We primed it, and then I redid the fresco harmony, and it came off again.
Oh,
And
wow.
then like this one time. So I mean, the amount of money I made versus this one time doesn't matter. But then we had to hang 1/4-inch sheetrock after that. I was like, no, we're just gonna hang it. And the homeowners were pretty cool about it. We covered their popcorn ceiling too, but that was the only time that I've had it fail. So tell me a little bit about your experience. I read that you used primer, an oil-based primer. why the oil-based primer, and then walk me through like your technique for covering, and also what was the substrate? Was it actual wood paneling or was it tongue and groove? What was it?
Okay, well, I want to say, first of all, it's a lot of this was passed on to me by my father, generations passed down. So, I mean, it's not something that I come up with. So I'm not trying to take credit for that. And
Okay.
I'm fortunate to have those people, hand that knowledge to me. So my father went in years ago to a house. They didn't really have a big budget. So he went in, he had the same issues where it started peeling loose off the wall. So we do a lot of painting too when we ain't busy doing drywall. And we found that a lot of the cleaning products that people use will get on there, stick to the surface, and cause the product not to adhere to the paneling itself. So we would go in with like
interesting, because they're using aggressive cleaners on the wood paneling or stains.
Right.
That's
and a lot of times varnish, the older varnish, it won't bond to it.
Yeah.
So you'll go in with like an oil-based primer. Usually we use like I don't know if it's okay to drop names of different products on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oil kills. So we use like the odorless oil kills, but it needs to be oil-based. We've had issues with the latex not bonding in the past. So
weird. Now people would think that the mud doesn't adhere to the oil-based paint, but that's not true. Mud'll marry to oil-based paint. But why do you think you need the oil-based paint?
So the oil-based paint, where the cleaning products, the latex wouldn't bond to it, and the different surfaces they've used, pledge and all different kinds of products to clean the paneling over the years. So latex wouldn't bond to it. It would what we call cat eye, so it would draw up off the wall, so to speak. So
mine just cracked and it just fell off. It just flaked off. You could take your 10-inch knife and just scrape it all off.
Break it right back off, start all over again.
It was the worst thing. Yeah. But to my credit, we redid those walls 3 times until it was right.
Right. Well, that's the thing about quality work. You stay with it till it's done, and the homeowner or the builder's happy with it. So yeah.
But this is interesting. So you use a Zinsser Kilts oil-based primer.
Well, the Zinsser will work too. Now I have used that too. So once we prime it in, we let it dry. We give it a good, overnight, 24 hours, so we know our product's bonded to the wall, or we don't have any issue. We'll come in, tape it, and bed it just like it's sheetrock. We'll go around and make sure that if it's paneling, a lot of times they got nails hanging out, or it might be loose here or there where the stud is popped loose over time.
Yeah.
Once we secure it to the wall, we tape it, bed it, skim it out. With paneling, you tend to get a wave in the wall. So we'll go and basically take it to a level 5, skim it out, and sand it back off. Or
I've had that
texture on it. We'll go.
I have a video where I did it's like almost like tongue and groove, like heavy paneling, but it's like tongue and groove, but it's still panels. And that wall kind of has a wave to it. I mean, I floated it once with Quickset, then I floated it twice with Fresco Harmony color and sealer. It still has a wave to it. I mean, and people would say, well, why don't you just hang sheetrock over it? Well, you're saving the time on material cost. You're saving the time taking off of the trim. So people don't consider you have to take the trim off and then reapply the trim. You have to move all of your outlets out. It's a pain unless you take the board off, the paneling off, but you still have to take and redo the trim in that scenario. So just skimming over the wood paneling is just like lightning fast. And now with Fresco Harmony in your holster, you take them a sample and be like, hey, for, instead of, $3 a square foot, for $5 a square foot, you can have this, and we don't have to paint.
Well, and absolutely. I mean, I think Fresco Harmony would take it up a notch, and you're not stuck with the same finish that your neighbor has and their neighbor has. It's something that when they come in, sit down at the dinner table, sit down in the living room and visit, and they're like, wow, what is this? Who did this? What product
Yeah.
is it? You know,
Yeah,
that's
it'll blow your clients away. I mean, they're blown away. I mean, you get clients that bitch just like anything, and clients that are picky, is it going to look like that? You have to do like management of expectations, which is a part of
right.
it. But I would say 80% of my clients are more than satisfied. Like they love it, especially when you're getting rid of the texture. Um,
Well, in drywall, you have to stay up with new products. I mean, it changes. I mean, over the years that I've been in it, you had uh, popcorn. Now they're going with a orange peel texture, and here they have three different types of texture. They have a light, a medium, and a heavy orange peel texture. And you
okay.
have the knockdown. I mean, different varieties of it. And Fresco Harmony, I believe, is going to be the next step in that finished wall. I mean, if it's a good product, it's I guess cutting edge on the drywall.
It's the only color system on the market right now for joint compound. I mean, the way I look at it is like, well, you've got plaster or you've got texture and paint. I mean, texture and paint, like, okay, you can do a hand texture, that's boring. You can do a orange peel, that's still kind of boring, even maybe more ugly. Um, and then you can do $10 square foot high end plaster, which is really time consuming and hard. So I feel like Fresco Harmony is sort of just a different option to normal boring walls, you know.
Well, I like that you can just mix it in. It's a color pack. You can mix it in. And also, I watched one of your YouTube videos. I watched a couple of them studying up on it because
Yep.
I want to be knowledgeable if I'm going to pass it on to my builders and,
Oh
my
yeah.
homeowners. So, I mean, it's something that's simple. You can color match it. I think that is a big game changer as far as that goes. I mean, you
Yep.
get all these people wanting these specific colors. Well, you can, like you said in your video, you can send it out there, you can color match it, and it'll come
Yep.
right back like what they want, and that to me, when you're selling something to somebody,
Yeah.
it gives them options. And in our business, you have to give them options. You have to go out and say, this is, what I'm offering. And
Yep.
I think it sells itself.
Yeah, and just to touch on that a little bit, we'll do pretty much any Benjamin Moore or Sherwin-Williams color. It's $100. You get a color pack with your order and a sample, a small sample of the board. So when you get that color pack, that match in the mail, you can look at it and you can see that I'm matching the swatch to the actual color of mud, and you can
Right.
show that to the client. And I mean, I try to steer people towards the color chart just because of the simplicity. Like I'm always pushing, let's keep it simple. We don't have to do anything fancy. Let's just, a lot of people think about plaster and they want to do really grandiose or very bright, a lot of movement, shiny. And the reality that I've experienced over the last 18 years is less is more when it comes to specialty wall finish, because you're
Right.
presenting the furniture. Fresco Harmony has a very chill, it's very warm, and it's very subtle. And I think I like that personally. I think that that's kind of a cool aspect of it.
Well, you want something that's going to complement the room, not draw all the attention to it, take away from the rest of the room, but make it a decent wall. I like that you have the varieties of colors. So you on your color chart, I mean, I didn't count it up, but it's quite a few colors there. So I mean, you have a good start. I mean, I do get clients that are picky on their colors. They want it to
Yeah.
match with this and that. But I mean, there's a lot to go off of there.
Yeah, the job in Napa Valley, we did 4 custom colors. The clients wanted to look at 4 colors. I mean, we've got some white, that was DC2, Dave Clark the second. We came up with a white color that's his color, but um, There's also, when you order a custom color, that lives on the custom color section. So you can order it infinite. There's a custom color part of the website. So a lot of people don't know too. You're not just limited to the 40 colors on the color chart. There's also a custom colors section on the website where you can order any of the custom colors that we've already made. I think there's over 30.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
that's good knowledge there.
yeah, there's
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of whites, there's a lot of grays, like all kinds of stuff. So have you gone over wallpaper?
Um, haven't had we over the years hadn't had real good success with it. The mud, the moisture in the mud tends to want to break the glue down behind the wallpaper, and then it wants to bubble up. That's always been an issue for us. For us, we'll come in, let make a wallpaper tool remover. We'll, basically score the wallpaper up. We'll actually, and a lot of people spray water on it, excuse me, and it's a scraping process to remove it off the wall. We'll actually take a knife and do a thin skim coat over the wallpaper, and it'll start causing the mud and the
Yep.
moisture and the glue to react, and it'll basically, you can just scrape it right, kind of like a popcorn ceiling with
Yep.
water. Little tricks you learn in the trade doing it years and years and years. So
Now I was going to ask if you've gone over popcorn. If you've, I mean, a lot of people scrape. We go over it a lot here, like it painted, not painted. Like I don't care. But part of my philosophy on that is that going over the popcorn, I don't have the mess. I don't have to deal with the asbestos. If it has asbestos, it doesn't matter because we're going over it. And I mean, then we do fresco harmony over that. So we're doing a further 2 coats over that. Have you gone over it?
Um, we have that's been painted. We've had the same issues in the past where you wet it with the mud and it causes it to break back down and start falling off the
Yeah.
ceiling. Now, if it's been painted, yes, we'll skim right over it and keep going. So
Okay.
it's something that, another trick you learn. If it's been painted, it's sealed in, it doesn't suck the moisture out of the mud and transfer it into the popcorn.
Interesting. Clients want
It's a
that
mess.
popcorn. Yeah.
We do high-end work, I ain't gonna lie, so we'll go in, if we got to scrape it, everything in there is covered up. We tape it up, it's like a quarantine room. A lot of the work I get is because of the prep that goes into my work before I even start working. So, I'd prefer not to scrape it. It's as much work to, keep it clean in there. As soon as we get it scraped, we take it all down, we get rid of that, and we cover it back up. I think in the business, it's not just your work, it's how you do your work. That's a key thing out there that a lot of these guys that's coming in throwing a piece of plastic over the couch and not really covering the floor up, and it kills them, so to speak. And it just take that extra step, buy that $13 roll of plastic, cover everything up.
Yeah.
It's going to get you word of mouth business that it's going to return.
Great tip. Great tip. Now, so you are 3rd generation. Your grandfather, is he still alive?
No, he passed away. I was born, but I wasn't old enough to remember him, and I've carried on his work, so to speak.
Sure. He passed it along to your father, and your father passed it along to you. Work ethic and pride in your work and stuff like that.
So we originally he started in Houston, Texas. That was where he was based out of. He did drywall, some painting, very little painting, and hardwood floors. And we refinished hardwood floors. And I don't know, my dad was about, I'd say 14, 15 years old, and they moved from Texas down here to Alabama. So my grandmother had family down here. And he come here, and he did a little bit more painting at that time, just trying to, build up a clientele, get some builders and all, and then went into getting more and more drywall work. Now we've always done hardwood floors. It's just, that's where the construction part of Martin's construction, drywall and painting So we don't just do one thing, you know.
Very cool. And so why did he steer in the direction of drywall versus beefing up the hardwood floor restoration? Maybe there's more drywall?
At that time, when he got back here, there wasn't but one other finisher in this area that was, you know, finishing. And he had two sons. And when you have kids, you got a whole crew, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they transitioned over to drywall. And I tell you, for 40 years, he held the market around here. If there was a job to do, he was the man. And he got to the point where he was just bringing material out on the job. My father took it over. Him and his brother started, you know, finishing for him. And he actually, in the end, cancer got him. And, you know, my dad's brother, they didn't quite get along enough to stay working together. So they kind of split apart, but still finished. And eventually, my uncle, he got out of the drywall, and then it just left my dad. And then we come along, myself, my brother, and my sister, and boom, my dad had a drywall crew. So the earliest memory in life I can remember is my mom dragging me out of before car seats, dragging me out of the back seat of the car, throwing me up on her hip and taking me in on a drywall job. And he's walking around on stilts, and I'm like, that is what I'm going to do.
Oh, yeah.
And, so I've worked with him ever since, you know. It's in my blood. So when I cough, drywall dust comes out.
Yeah. Your sister did a little bit of drywall?
She did.
Nice.
She worked with us for years. She got pretty good at it. And she ended up getting pregnant and getting married and kind of got out of it. You know, she still painted for a while with us. So he carried on the tradition of painting and refinishing hardwood floors and everything. So she was really good at painting. Some people haven't, some people don't. So
yeah,
that was more her end of it.
Yep. That's awesome. Do you follow some of the girls on the social media that are doing the drywall? Yeah. They're pretty good.
Yes, they are. And that's something that my dad, he was always big on. You know, women, they can finish drywall just like men. And
yeah.
We had different women, you know, through the years that, hey, there's a woman that she worked with us for a while. She could run a bazooka better than anybody I've ever met, which I'm sure she's retired now, but Miss Click, we called her Miss Click. She run that bazooka. It didn't sound like it was clicking. It was just one click. She'd run it till it was awesome.
Yeah, I was talking with somebody. I miss running the bazooka. There's aspects about drywall that I do miss. The fresco harmony keeps me on my toes quite a bit, but running the bazooka, man, was my favorite.
I don't mind it so much. I mean, I like tools. It speeds things up, but you know, I still like that pan now.
What do you think about these hand finishers that are super against using the tools? They just like to hand finish.
Well, in drywall, to each is their own, I guess.
Yeah.
If that's your thing, you know, do it. I mean, I'm supportive of drywall. If you're in this, I know what you're going through. It's not an easy job. I mean, I love it. So if you want to finish by hand, do it. Do your thing. And I just see benefits where the tools speed things up and make it a little easier. You know, you got guys using banjos and you got guys using bazookas. I never liked the banjo. It was messy, and it wasn't my thing. So it's to each their own.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that in those drywall groups on Facebook, they jump on there and they attack each other. Hey, this guy might not know. That might be why he's in here asking, or he didn't have my father like I had teaching him this is how you do it. And that bashing each other is not going to get this whole industry needs to come together. I mean, not just support each other, but I mean, price wise, there's so much people gouging here and there for work and all, you know, it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, my take on it is we need to collectively raise the bar. What we do is specialty. We get beat up in the trade a lot, and it's up to each and every one of us to ramp up that minimum, of what we're getting, and a lot of it's self-confidence. Yeah, I can go and do a patch, and $300 is it sounds like a lot of money, for a 4-hour patch, but you have to value your time and your knowledge. And
Right.
it took you, if it took you 5 years to learn to do that patch in 3 hours, well, that's valuable. And maybe you bump it from 300 to 500 minimum, and just be like that. Be like, a lady called me about a plaster patch, and I was like, it's 500 minimum. And she was like, it's like a 3-inch patch. The other guy she called didn't even show up. But I'm like, plaster patches are a nightmare anyways. And I don't care if it takes me 20 minutes. It's $500. Like, and I can't guarantee you're gonna like it. And be very forthright, about what you're doing. And
Right.
again, managing expectations is a big part of it.
Well, a lot of these guys, I don't know myself. I carry liability. We have insured. All my trucks are, commercial insurance. So, I mean, I'm not out here trying to get rich. I'm just trying to get paid for my skill and cover my
Hmm.
expenses. So, I mean, if this is what it costs, this is what it costs. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't crank the truck up and leave the yard unless I'm covering my costs.
that's
And
right.
I'm not trying to gouge nobody. I just want to be fair with myself and them, you know.
That's right. And I mean, you got to take into consideration, like, okay, if I'm doing a patch, I have to bid it like I'm paying somebody to do it, you know, like,
Right.
so I don't get the whatever $200, the hourly rate that my guy's making. I don't get that money. You can't look at it like that. You got to look at it. Your labor is part of the equation. And a lot
Right.
of drywall guys don't look at it that way. Like, you've
Well,
got to
that was
get paid for labor, and then the business also has to make money.
right. I mean, if the business is not making money, you're not going to keep going. You have to put some of that money back to carry your business on. A lot of these guys, while they're not making it, I mean, they have skill, but they're not putting it back into their business. That's
Yep.
why I have the tools that I have. My father always taught me invest in your tools as an investment in yourself, because you're only going to go up, you know.
Yeah.
And these guys get them some tools, get them a pickup truck, and they're out there cashing their check, and they're broke on Monday, and they're not really making it. They're just getting by. And I think that that's something again that I was taught, that I'm fortunate to have somebody that has taught that to me. And there are several groups on Facebook that I think it's the Drywall Mentors, to where you can go in and ask for honest advice, and they don't really attack you on there. They come in and try to help you. I think that need more of that out there, and it would help the industry. I mean, we have to start somewhere. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not alone. I mean, most of the people that I interview here, another aspect of the drywall podcast, it's pretty cool. It's hard to be a dick on here.
Right.
Because you're staring at the guy you're talking to. And I think
Right.
there's something to be said there, though. Like, it's too easy to go onto a group, somebody's trying to do something cool or new or different, and to be like, that doesn't work without even trying it. I mean, that's why I think the covering up the wood paneling is an interesting conversation. I've gotten a lot of flack about it, and I've covered wallpaper 30 times. I've had a couple of them bubble, but 80% success rate, I would say, or 85, you know. Um, and it just is what it is. And people think I'm crazy, but I didn't think you could go over brick, and until I did it, and people will tell me like that it cracks, and I'll be like, well, have you ever gone over it? We've probably done 30 to 40 brick fireplaces where I'm covering brick, painted, not painted, it doesn't matter. Quick settle, like, bury that stuff.
Well, I've seen it. I really like your fireplaces. I like what you're doing with that. That's something that I hope in the future to incorporate into my skill set. And as far as the paneling goes, oh my goodness, I really don't tell people that I do it anymore because they're like,
Well,
"You are crazy." Here locally, we've probably done. I wouldn't be scared to say 70 or 80 houses over a 15-year period here, and I have never went back in and had to fix it. Never. I've never no
never.
callback.
Okay, so you
And
heard it
just the
here on the
back.
Drywall podcast. You can cover wood paneling, but you got to use the oil-based primer. That is a pro tip.
Well, it's trial and error, stuff you learn along the way.
Yep. So you were telling me that you are Tape Tech reached out to you. That's super cool. So you use Tape Tech tools. A couple of questions. Why Tape Tech? I mean, you've used the tools for a long time. Have you used any other tools?
Okay. Well, I'll give you a little background on that. My father, he worked out of Atlanta for a while, and that was back when you could only rent the tools. You couldn't actually buy them.
Okay.
And I want to say in '82, if I'm not mistaken, he purchased his first set, and you couldn't even buy them over here on the East Coast. We actually had to order them out of California and wait, a month for them to get here.
And those were Ames. Was that Ames tool?
Yes, those were Ames to start with.
Okay, and what year are we talking about?
We were around '82, if I'm not mistaken. That was our first set.
Okay.
So we've had 3 sets of tools over the years, just upgrading and I've always been taught repair yourself. So I mean, we would order the parts in and fix all of our own stuff, and then when it got so wore out, then we would get another tool. I mean, whether that's boxes, bazookas, just whatever.
Yep.
And so I have used other tools, and I mean, I'm not putting anybody's tools down on the market, but for me, the quality of the tool and the life of the tool is Tape Tech. I know a lot of guys is going to disagree with me on that because I mean, I'm not trying to throw a bunch of names out there, but I hear a lot of good things about Columbia's tools. I mean, there's a lot of guys running that. But for me, I'm a Tape Tech guy all the way. And
okay.
As far as the whole ambassador thing, I had some guys younger guys, a guy out of British Columbia up there. I think he's like 27 years old. Another guy up in West Virginia that I talked to through Messenger on Facebook. And a lot of times they get to asking you what tools you run, why, how to fix this and all. And the boxes come up. And I went online made a video at work discussing one of the boxes. It was purchased in '82. We upgraded the wheels, blades, just regular maintenance on it. And it's right in the next room over here. So, I mean, it's still in operation. And I don't know exactly what I said. I wasn't a salesman for Tape Tech or whatever. I wasn't promoting it. And I guess Tape Tech seen that video and they reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in, becoming an ambassador. And it's kind of went from there.
Interesting. And so what does that entail, being an ambassador?
So
are they going to throw you some tools?
Oh yeah. They've done thrown me 2 sets of pans and knives to try, stainless steel and blue steel, 12-inch pan. They have some more stuff.
Have you used? I think I saw the barrage of Tape Tech tools you posted, and you were like, "Hey, man, I get to try these tools." What do you think? Out of the gate, you liking it?
I do. So first thing that stood out to me is the pan. After carrying that pan of mud around all day, it's not this heavy pan. And I've used quite a few different fan brand names, and for me it was a good solid weld. At first when I picked it up, it was light and I thought, well, let me use it, and then I used it. It was a good solid pan, good solid weld, and it didn't weigh as much as the mud that was in it, so to speak. So for me that was a big thing. And I like the flex in the knives. For me, I like it on the lower end of the knife to where I can move it on the wall a little better. Every guy's different how they use a knife, but for me, I like them overall.
Yeah.
And I'm a blue steel person.
Yep.
I'm not a big stainless steel person, but I have been using the knives a little bit, and it in the past I've used stainless steel, other brands, and those seem to work a little better for me. So I don't know if they've just upgraded or better technology, or more research that they put into it. So,
Okay.
and there again, every guy's different. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah. I was a blue steel knife user, and even blue steel with the trowels, my pool trowels I use, until until I started selling the sealer that we sell tends to rust the knives very quickly.
right.
And stainless just works better. I think with a pool trowel, the shank keeps, because you don't have very much metal, keeps it from waving, whereas a knife will tend to wave with stainless more so than blue steel. You got a nice curve on that blue steel, and if you wash your tools and dry them off, they're fine.
Oh. A lot of guys, they just rinse it off in the bucket of water, throw it in the box, and go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, my guy Jack, he's I took a photo of he's got a bucket scoop, a level 5 bucket scoop, and it's got one of those big old white nobules on the end of it, where the mud's build up over time. I can't get him to keep his stuff clean, but he does good work. So
I can't. I can't do that.
yeah, I can't either. I'm like, scrape the bucket. I like a clean mixing area. I like my tools cleaned and dried off. Not perfect. They're not like perfect by any means, but they're clean. When I get done with a job, I clean them. Try to. If it's a quick patch, sometimes I'll throw them in the truck. But all those little details, I think, translate to the wall and how you approach the wall with the mud.
Well, they're the key thing. They're are what's making the money for you. I mean, it's a key component in the finished product. So yes, sir.
Yep, and I see these 6-inch knives breaking all the time. I could get my 6-inch. I've had my 6-inch, and I'm not on the wall as much anymore. Jack gets to have all the fun, and I'm doing this kind of weird stuff. But I've probably had it for 16 years. And if you clean that little, you don't want to, like the journeyman taught me early on, if you don't clean that little section where the handle meets the metal, that is, every picture you see of a 6-inch that's broken is right there on that spot. And so I get in there and dry it off real good and make sure that's clean. I've had my 6-inch for, I mean, it came from Colorado, so it's over 17 years old.
Well,
I think
care of your tools, and your tools will take care of you.
Yeah, I think it's a craftsman.
I take it. Like I said, I spray it with oil. I make sure that it's ready to go when I pull it back out of the box the next day. So yeah, I can relate. I never
use the oil. I knew lots of guys that carried the WD-40 and they sprayed them off. I never did that. What's the purpose of spraying off the tools with WD?
I use bazooka oil. It's made by Take Tech, and for me, it drives the water off the knife, so to speak. And I try to get it anywhere that water might seep up in the handle and cause rust issues too. So
okay,
I mean, it's something that was passed on to me, so it's instilled in me, so to speak.
Yeah. Learning in the union, they were very picky about cleanliness. They had time to go slow, and people think they're time farmers and stuff, and some of them were, but I learned the best tricks and technique in the union that was up in the Northwest that I've learned anywhere. You in track house finishing, which I've done too. You learn to go fast and be sloppy, but you got,
Yep.
you're working piece and you got to get out of there. You ain't
Get
taking
it done.
time, like you're not cutting out blisters and shit. Like everybody, it's like, okay, that's all fine and dandy. But if I'm getting paid square footage and I can blow over this seam and butt and it looks good, I'm not going to be messing with all that. I mean, if it's a
Get it
substantial
done. Get it going.
blister. And you
Yes,
do, but
sir.
you guys do some of that, right? That blow and go.
We do. I try not to get into it too much. It doesn't. They don't want to pay the. And I'm not trying to sound bad here, but it's not as much money in it as it is working with a builder, so to speak. Since I've done this in '92, I've built up quite a few builders, and for the most part, I stay busy with them. The job I'm on right now is a builder that I've been with for years now. I got one builder I've been with for 9 years, so they tend to pay you a little better.
Yeah.
They know the quality of work. I just left a house, 375 board house. We were discussing another guy. We were done with it. So, I mean, it wasn't no issue with him giving it to nobody or nothing. But we were talking at the end of the job about another finisher. And I told him, I said, well, he's probably cheaper than us. And he said, well, I'm sure he is cheaper than you, but I don't think I'm going to get the quality of work out of him. And
Right.
I know where you're at when I need something, So, that blow and go, it does make quick money. It's a good turnover, but in the end, it's that could play out. And these builders are going to be there. They're going to be looking for you when their project's ready.
Yeah, those
To me,
custom builders they'll survive through a downturn in the economy.
a name in the community
Yeah.
for those tract homes, they kind of in and out, so to speak. And the builder, he's eating at the restaurant with you, and I mean he's somebody in the community, so he's going to stay busy. So
That's true. We have I have a builder right now. He's got a drywall guy. I think he pays him like hourly, kind of on the cheap side. He's done a little fresco, but he's doing whole houses, and he's building houses in Santa Fe. And I've met the drywall guy, talked to him about Fresco Harmony, but they're not excited about it. Like, if you were here, dude, he wants to do 16 houses in Santa Fe, but the hang finish Fresco Harmony. And so I called Elite Drywall. Here is a very good drywall company, and they have that reputation like you're talking about. He's got his guys, and they have a reputation. He's more expensive, but like the builders will pay it. They want the quality. And I called him, and I was like, dude, he just finished a job. I'm going to post a video of it. They did the whole thing in the sanded Fresco Harmony. He sprayed the base coat out, and they blew over it with the second coat sanded. And it's a little different technique. You smooth it out, and then they did a little bit of sanding, and then they did the sealer. And I mean, it looks gorgeous. It just looks extraordinary. And the builder's a custom home builder, a Parade of Homes winner. This 4,000 square foot home. And I'm going to tell the builder, I'm going to be like, dude, and I told the drywall guy, I was like, if you come up with a good margin and you do the 16 homes, and, maybe if they sign a contract for 16 homes, give them a little break on it,
right.
A little break. You could just crush it. I mean, you're going to double your profit margin on every home. I mean,
well, and it gives you a long-term work too. I mean, that builds your reputation. They know the quality and all, and the money's there. So, I mean,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for you, with those reputable builders that you have, I would make a sample and go show them a sample, and then let them pick a color, spend the $50 or whatever on a color pack and some sealer, and go do a free wall, and that's, and just get to practice on it. And if they don't like it, you can texture over it and paint it. No big deal.
Right.
But I think that is a good strategy, and they'll let you do it.
Oh, I think so. You got some of these builders that are trying to stay up with newer trends as well. I mean, it's not just in the drywall. It's the builders, it's the architects. So, I mean, like you said, go do a wall, and even if it's out of pocket, just do a sample wall for somebody. I think that's going to sell, and it's going to show. I post a lot of my work. I try to share it out. I get a lot of work from doing that, and I believe that is going to take off. It's just getting it open, getting it out down here. I think that's right now everybody's big on level 5, level 4, level 5, and I'll be glad when that's trend's gone. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's not one of my favorite. So I'm excited about something new.
Yeah. How come? Why what's the biggest issue that you have with doing level 5?
It's another step in the process, so to speak. Back to the track homes and all. I mean, you go in, most of those were textured. You go in, you finish them this texture, and you're done. The level 4, it's a little bit more sanding, and then level 5, it's a little bit more time, a little bit more money. And for me, I'm not just the employee, not the boss. I'm all of these. I'm the secretary, so I have to look at cost and all too. So and a level 5 brings the cost up. And if you're in the business and you're buying the mud and putting it on the wall, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, and you got those picky builders and homeowners that's going to come in and take a roll of blue tape and put 100 stickers all over the wall, fix this, fix that. And so I don't want that. So I take it to the extra step. I break the lights out. I make sure that when I roll away from the job, my product is it's perfect, as perfect as I can get it. And so it just ties up a lot more time, a lot more material for me on my end. So I would be glad to see something like Fresco Harmony come on the market. I guess I'm gonna steal this from you. Imperfect smooth. So
yeah.
That it and I don't say that in a bad way, because it gives character to the wall. Plain old boring flat surface. I mean, some people like it, but I mean, in this industry, I think it would be a game changer.
Yeah. And less sanding. Why does it have to be perfectly smooth? I can skim a wall twice with mud and get it pretty darn flat.
Right.
If you shine a light down it, you see stuff. But to me, it's not as ugly as orange peel.
What gets me is how many times they gonna come in after it's done and furniture's in there. Who's gonna shine a light down the wall? If that's just it's crazy.
You're gonna have one or two walls that the side light's gonna hit, and that's it. But what a pleasure. What does the future hold for Josh Martin? With specifically with Tape Tech, how long does this ambassador thing go? Where do you see yourself sort of in the future with this?
Well, we're really just getting started with them. They're sending us some more tools and everything. So I stay in contact with them pretty regularly. I talked to him Monday, talked to Rick Miller. Big shout out to Rick Miller with Trim Techs down there. He talked to him for about 2 hours on the phone, and I talked to Tape Tech for about an hour on the phone. So
why'd you talk to Rick with Trim Techs?
Up here, it's predominantly metal bead, and I can't even get it in my area. It's not a rural area, but I'm about 35 minutes from the nearest Trim Tech dealer. And
okay.
I was just trying to touch base with him and try to get something in this area. And really good guy. He got on the phone. Hey, the product, he got it to my supplier, and so we're just trying to get away from the metal bead. We have issues with moisture and condensation in windows down here, and it's just
you heard Joe and I talking about that specifically, like that's why they came up with the bead in the first place, was the condensation rusting the metal on the windows.
Well, I did, and it's something that we deal with. We're right down here on the Gulf Coast. I'm 45 minutes from the Gulf, so I mean, we do. it's moisture, moisture, moisture.
Yeah.
Story of my life, waiting on mud to dry. So,
Waiting on mud. Yeah. That's got to be a pain.
well, that really does happen. The transfer from the moisture from the window
Oh,
wicks
yeah.
into the block and then wicks over to the metal corner bead and creates issues with rust, cracking, and all. So, I mean, if there's a product on the market that's better, hey, I'm game.
Well, I mean, those guys at Trimtex, they stand behind their stuff too. I mean, they are straight shooting dudes. Joe's a very cool guy, and they're all passionate about what they do. Very awesome talking with you, Josh. This was great, right? We're just bullshitting about drywall.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always nice to sit down with a drywall finisher and talk shit, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Any last anything you want to bestow upon the drywall community? Your pearl of wisdom. Let's hear it.
Ooh. I think we all need to come together and bring our prices up across the board. I think that's a key thing with all the drywall finishers out there. And don't be scared to help another finisher. If he don't know, teach him. Especially if he's not, you know, if he was the guy down the street and he's competing against you, you might have an issue with him. But if he's somebody in 3 states away and he wants to know how you do something, teach him. I mean, he's not going to move down here and take your work from you. He's up there doing his thing, you know.
That's right.
I think overall, we just need to come together and raise our prices a little bit for what we do. We all should get paid really good. I mean, it's a skill. It's an art. I mean,
yeah.
Just because you can buy the tools and go out and do it, you have to learn it in a way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to the marketing rep for Canvas, the robot drywaller.
Oh, wow. I've seen that a few times. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, me too. So hopefully he's going to be reaching out to me, and we'll get to have a conversation about this drywall finishing robot coming up. Next week is going to be Giancarlo, a super professional plasterer out of Miami, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Can't stay away from the Floridians, man. This will be the 3rd one on the Drywall podcast, but what are you going to do?
I hear you. I've been debating moving down into the Keys myself down there.
Yeah.
Live on the island and finish drywall.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I'm excited about the robot thing. A lot of these finishers are all up in arms over it, but I mean, I think it's more of a commercial thing, commercial buildings, stuff like that, and not necessarily all residential. These guys is freaking out. I mean, I don't think it's going to take in our lifetime. I don't think it's going to get into the residential market and take a bunch of jobs away like these guys are freaking out. You know.
You know. Well, and also it's just so quick to like just cut it down, and it's like, well. You know, I mean, it was weird as somebody posted about the checkout at the grocery store, the self checkout. Remember when those came out? Right. And it was like, I'm not going to go to that. You know, and now it's like, it's all self checkout.
Well, you got all those guys that never seen a bazooka before, and it was foreign to them, you know, and now every guy out there owns a bazooka. So, I mean, it's just part of change in this industry.
Mean, those Ames brothers, man, imagine trying to convince this industry about this weird, long tool. I mean, they probably caught so much flack for that.
Yeah, but you know, they some rich men right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh Martin, Martin's Construction, Drywall, and Painting. Like, you guys do a lot of cool stuff over there. Ambassador for Tape Tech Tools, and super cool guy. Next time I'm in Alabama, I'm going to have to look you up. Thanks for being on the Drywall podcast today.
Hey, thank you. I enjoyed it, man.
All right, buddy. You have a fantastic day, and we will be in touch. Anything you need to know about the fresco, you let me know, okay?
I will do. Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
All right, bud. Talk soon.
All right.
Special thanks to Josh Martin for being with us on the Drywall Podcast today. You can catch the Drywall Podcast every Friday on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast, and also YouTube, believe it or not. The Drywall Podcast was brought to you by Fresco Harmony. Fresco Harmony, making walls better since 2004. Fresco Harmony is the world's first color line specifically developed for drywall joint compound. If you'd like more information about the Drywall Podcast, you can email me directly at info@frescoharmony.com. We are always available to answer questions and take phone calls. Thank you for joining the Drywall Podcast today. We certainly appreciate your time. And remember, keep drywalling.